So it looks like we've got a repeat. Just sticking with it again. Well, actually, we can't see that for sure. JohnSmith could be playing a different build of liner.
Oh no. Yeah. So I mean,
This is a
Linar's
different game. It's not the same game, I promise. Monk's got a different hand.
Yeah. So Linar can absolutely get away with this because Double Tempest is so good at resetting board. Like it's just one of the most powerful things you can do in the mid game. Jaxi is pretty good against one Tempest. Not so good against two Tempests.
Yeah, but forcing out two Tempests is like then your opponent can't develop anything else on that turn. Like, I don't think it's if my opponent's using double Tempest to deal with a Jaxi, I'm probably not crying about that. Tempest, I think, is a really powerful card.
Yeah, if they did it just to deal with a Jaxi, that'd be really bad for sure. Here, JohnSmith trying to bait out the Night Sorrow. That makes a lot of sense because they're playing Iron Cliffs. I wonder if they changed their deck and are not playing Iron Cliffs anymore. We saw that a lot in King of the Beta around the time patch 60. People were playing Second Sons. They're playing Bright Moss Golems to avoid playing Iron Cliff into Night Sorrow. So I wonder if JohnSmith has made those changes, or if they've put Primus Fists in their deck. That's how I do it on ladder these days. JohnSmith also had an interesting decision to make there on whether or not they hit the Mystic. They're kind of thinking that the Mystic is just going to run into the Silver Guard, and so they don't want to lose the 2 health. But if the Silver Guard gets cleared in a different way, then you probably wanted to hit the Mystic. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe one thing that swayed JohnSmith there is that Munkbusiness can't Jaxi Spectral Blade to clear the Silver Guard because of the positioning. So that was clever positioning from JohnSmith.
Yeah, that play where you have to choose whether to hit or not comes up surprisingly often. I find if you want them to want to hit their guy into your guy, it also works in your favor to hit it, because then it's like a slightly better trade because their guy's got less health.
Yeah, it's really definitely one of the sort of one of the important aspects of like very, very high level duels is just very hard to get right. It's sort of this balance between how much do you do something that looks dumb and you feel dumb if it doesn't work out, to play around something you don't even know they have. This can even come up a lot turn 1 as player 2, where you're thinking about if you open double 2-drop, where do you want to put your 2-drops? And there's a way to position that's better against them having nothing, and there's a way to position that's better against them having like a Primus Fist or a Blood Tear or something, and choosing which one to go for is hard.
Here's Monk doing basically the only play that he had, which is play out the Shadow Dancer. And the good thing is that also clears off Regalia, which can be a pain.
Yeah, Munkbusiness has tuned their deck well, especially because they saw Sunstone Bracer, and it cleared a Sunstone Bracer last game as well. That's kind of sad to have to martyrdom that, because there are, that's what I like to see.
You like Arrow Rift? A lot of people, when it was revealed, were like, "What is this card? It doesn't do anything."
Oh yeah. I mean, the evaluations there are some crazy evaluations. I think this card's really good, actually. I think I don't blame them. They maybe don't realize that in a long game in 2-draw, having 3 martyrdoms versus having 4 martyrdoms, that's a big deal. It's not like you're only seeing 10 cards of your deck all game and it does nothing. No, you're gonna feel the difference between 3 and 4 martyrdoms. And I think a lot of sort of these high-level matchups, especially when you have like a very controlling Lionar like this, is trying to set up situations where your threats don't line up well against their removal. Like you bait out the removal on something else. So JohnSmith, they really want to be martyrdoming the Archons, and they want to be martyrdoming Revenants. They don't want to martyrdom a Shadow Dancer. That's because they can immo a Shadow Dancer. Or I don't know if they're running Circle of Life. That card is good too, and it's played a lot in these kinds of of Lionheart decks.
Yeah, they might not be running
And
him out at all.
yeah. I mean, there are very few minions. I wouldn't be surprised if they cut him out. And but probably there's better removal than a Martyrdom for the Shadow Dance. Martyrdom is a really premium removal. It's basically the best removal spell in the game. So Monk Business did a great job of baiting out a Martyrdom against a Shadow Dancer instead of a better target, right? That's a big part of high-level Duelyst is figuring out ways to, setting up the game so that happens the way you want it to. In the same way that, JohnSmith was trying to bait out a Night Sorrow on the Silver God Knight, right? Instead of an Ironclef. The Ironclef is what Monk Business wants to Night Sorrow. So Aerial Rift is so powerful because it lets you cheat in that way. You use your Martyrdom on maybe a suboptimal target, but then you just Aerial Rift it back, and it's like, oh, that whole aspect to my plan has gone away, that like it sort of gives you it lets you cheat for that one. So it's really good, and yeah, I don't blame people for misevaluating it, but it's yeah.
Do you think it's better than Alcyon, for example?
So I think that we wouldn't want to make something that's just like clearly better than an existing card.
Yeah.
But Alcyon has its own advantages. You can do stuff like Tempest, Alcyon Tempest, or if you really need a specific card and you need it like right now, of course, Alcyon is better. And there are times where you're going to want to run Alcyon over Aerial Rift. But I think there are times where you're going to want to run Aerial Rift over Alcyon. I think JohnSmith, when they're playing such a slow deck like this, spending 3 mana on a 3/1 is pretty rough. And if it's part of the game plan of just lining up your answers the best you can against their threats, then Alcyon is 2 mana more expensive than it needs to be.
Cool. Monk here is putting on the pressure. I like this Jaxi Darkfire Sacrifice.
Yeah. Jaxi is it's really cool that like it's flexible and does a lot of different things. This is terrifying. Oh, not so terrifying. Great, good job for JohnSmith to probably sandbagging that healing in their hand, and trying to get Monk Business to maybe play in a different way. You can also see that JohnSmith is not playing any Night Sorrow targets, and this is sort of I find that good players tend to hold Night Sorrow a lot, and also not play any Night Sorrow targets. I don't see many people replace Night Sorrow in spots like this, right?
I think going into the next turn, I'd replace one for sure. Like, you don't need two, really. Like, I'd want more options.
Yeah, it's tough. It is a real, concession here. I mean, now this Archon comes down, and what are you going to do about it, right? You got sort of 2/1/1s, and we haven't seen Dark Terminus or anything. So, yeah, okay. So we see the place.
Is this lethal? Because you can sacrifice and kill your own Sarlacc twice. Or 3 times even, with hit it into the Archon as well. I think this might be.
Yeah, that sure looks like exactly lethal to me.
See if Monk sees it.
Good spot. This is not an obvious lethal at all. This is a pretty good one. This is a fun puzzle. Yeah, doesn't see it. Maybe it's because of the Night Sorrow change. Monk Business doesn't realize it hits your own stuff. You have to be careful for that. So here, this is interesting because you could have played the Blood Tier in 2 different places to body block the Archon. You can play it directly below your General, but you can also play it directly above Argion here. And then Argion can't go and hit the Sarlacc to clear away for the Archon. But I think...
yeah, you could die to Divine Bond here.
Yeah. Here, I guess, Monk is saying it's just likely enough that you have a Tempest.
Ah, there it is. Oh no! Did he not see? What is he doing to my heart?
Sorry, what?
Well, I don't know why he did that. He just
This is some savage BM. This is disgusting.
I
Wow,
don't.
what a baller! Not all wins are equal. This is saying I lost game one. I'm gonna, the second game is gonna count for two.
I don't know if it works like that. Oh dear.
Oh man. So okay, I mean, I guess. Well, okay. Both players miss lethal in back-to-back turns. One lethal was a little bit easier than the other, but yeah, I mean, I think maybe JohnSmith is sort of just trying to point out to Munkbusiness that they missed lethal last turn, so sort of saying, "Oh, sorry about that. Try again."
You're being very generous.
I'm trying my best, man. I'm trying my best.
I think it just goes to show that you don't have to feel bad if you make mistakes. Even really, really good players do it. This game is difficult.
This is an extremely difficult game, and that's what I love about Duelyst, is that it's really, really hard. But it's great because no matter who loses this game, they can say with absolute confidence that they lost because they're bad.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the best feeling when you can say, yeah, it's because you're bad. It's not bad luck. It's your fault. Maybe I'm. It's cool to see the choice Shroud versus Sunbloom here. This is a case where Sunbloom is a lot better because you probably can't reach this with Shroud, and you wouldn't want to get any closer. Oh wow, yeah. If Munkbusiness had to clear the Archon with damage, this is gonna be rough. There's no. We did see a ritual banishing last game, so
Yeah, there's ways in his deck. But it's just added a big amount of HP he's got to chew through for the time being.
you got the next time you play Duelyst, you got to go to the settings, and you got to turn on player details. And player details is going to tell you how many cards in deck your opponent has. That's a very relevant number right now.
All right. Well, it's not going to affect any of the replays for the future because they're all stored. But yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah. Yeah, because here it's relevant for two reasons. One, JohnSmith has played a lot of cards. Like they might this game might go to fatigue. And two, I was thinking maybe they just cut all the Silverguard Knights and all the Ironcliffs. Like, I was gonna blank their Night Sorrows. And JohnSmith is doing an excellent job of blanking Night Sorrow right now. But we did see one Silverguard Knight, which makes me think, maybe JohnSmith is actually running them and just replacing them. And then when you put your opponent under enough pressure, they end up in a situation where, maybe their only play is to just hope you don't have a Night Sorrow. And we might be getting to that point in the game. Yeah, so this was a really strange Deathfire Crescendo, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's sort of
Exiting the same
one
place.
martyrdom answers both threats, right?
Yeah.
So now, we see the ritual banishing is here finally. But this is a close game all of a sudden. Because Munkbusiness clearly doesn't have enough answers for all the Archons and the Zirs. They're gonna have to clear something with damage. So they cleared one Archon with damage. I don't know if they're running 3 ritual banishings. It seems like they're probably not, based on how few of them we saw. Zir is something you can reasonably clear with damage. It's not fun, but you can do it.
Yeah, if he gets enough Sarlaccs, eventually, yeah. Throw enough grains of sand, eventually you got a beach.
Yeah. And here's, so based on Munkbusiness's positioning, I wonder if they're trying to bait an Ironcliff, because when you position against an Ironcliff, you want to put your minions generally above, below, directly left or right, but not diagonal to your general, so that no matter where the Ironcliff drops, you can hit it and use your minions to help clear. And so Munkbusiness might be trying to be like, hey, isn't this a juicy Ironcliff for you? And then Night Sorrow it and get a tempo lead. Maybe they feel like that's the thing to do right now. Or maybe they just put the Jaxi there because it's closer to the enemy. And then I wonder if JohnSmith is reading into that positioning and inferring that Munkbusiness is holding. Oh man, is holding the Night Star. Yeah, so he does go for it here.
It probably makes Monk very happy.
Yeah. So I mean, when you have only 14 cards left in deck, at some point you sort of have to start thinking like, what are, yeah, so you don't overdraw in 2-draw. So generally speaking, at this point, you want to think of 6 cards in your deck that's like, I'm not going to play these just so I don't fatigue, right? Because if you start fatiguing, slow enough, you're going to lose. And Night Sorrow could be a candidate, or I'm just never going to play this card all game. You clearly do want to play the Ritual Banishing. You clearly do want to play the Deathfire Crescendo, and you clearly don't want to play the Darkfire Sacrifice.
How close is this to lethal? Is it? Might just be.
Well, I mean, with the 0, like it's sort of hard to
No, you
really.
can just Ritual Banishing it.
Oh, yeah, I'm blind. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm great. Wow. Yeah. Good job. I'm completely oblivious. Good job to Munkbusiness. Congratulations on winning this. Well played. Whoops. I love the BM that is not just superfluous, right? I think it's tacky when people just their quote unquote BM is just taking longer to play lethal. The real BM is the one that has risk involved, and I think JohnSmith, in my heart, he's the real winner this game because he really put himself on the line with that BM. He demonstrated that he was not afraid to have some guts and throw when there were stakes and throw when there was a real risk. So good job to JohnSmith.